Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your 53-man roster predictions of what we like today. This is a bonus episode, folks.
Hi, everyone. Yes, and we're going to tell you why we like your 53-man roster predictions.
Right.
All, 30-some of them, right?
I ended up with a total of 28, and I saw one last minute. Gil Martin didn't get a chance to get to yours, unfortunately. I will add it in after the show and kind of see how it looks with everybody else's. So as of right now, I'll have a total of 29. Once I add in Gil's today for this bonus episode, I have 28 we're looking at.
Yay, Gilly. Okay, so tell us, Matthew Pickett.
Matthew. Ooh, very formal tonight.
Tell us what this bonus episode is all about. And we did a little bit of this last year, but it was a whole year ago. So how about we review what we're doing before we get started?
Totally. So I am very fascinated by the people's 53-man roster predictions. You know, a lot of we've talked about before on the show at various times is part of why I think I get so excited to listen to content and podcasts during the season is because I want some like sense of what's going to happen. And like, you know, I want to hear people's ideas about how things are going to go with like the next Packers game. And so this is kind of tied in with that. Like I'm looking at people's roster predictions because I want to know what's going to happen with all these players that like we care so much about, you know, from your very favorite player to that guy whose name you can't quite remember because they're kind of just a practice body. Practice body, you know. So like this whole range of players, and you just want to know what's going to happen. So for me, I'm looking at everybody's, you know, roster predictions, and as somebody who likes to see the overarching trends in large data sets, who gets really excited about that. Last year I did this. I took a bunch of those roster predictions, all the ones I could find last year, compiled them into a spreadsheet, kind of looked through them, trying to find those kinds of like insights you can glean from them. And last year I think I had like 17 or 18. This year I got up to 28. It'll be 29 with Gills when I add them in later. And if I see any others tomorrow morning, I'll add them in as well. Obviously by 5 o'clock.
I might throw one in there, maybe.
Nice.
I've been doing my homework today, maybe, but yeah.
And I do have one too that I didn't actually officially put on Twitter, but it's going to be in here, and I'll find a way to actually like share a link to the documents so people can like see the full compilation of them. So I definitely want to, you know, share this. I'm not just gonna like hoard them and tell you about them, like hoard them. Like I'm going to share this, of course. So that's kind of guy I am.
That's so cool.
So yeah, we're going to take a look at it. I'll share my screen in a second here. I've never tried that before in StreamYard. Hopefully it works out pretty well.
Piece of cake. Oh, piece of cake. And, you know, it's funny because I ran across yours from last year. I remember I doctored it up with our logo and made it all pretty.
Oh, that's right.
I know. I forgot all about it until I found it. I was like, oh, I remember doing that. So it's cool. Well, I don't really feel like I need to sense of where things are going, but I do think it feels like, for me, this is a really sad time of the season. And it feels like a dignified way to kind of close up, you know, camp and training and preseason and going to the season without forgetting those who, you know, who they're on our bingo. And then so for me, from this after tomorrow, after the cut downs, I'll have to change our bingo game for the last time. I mean, there might be updates during the year, but if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, and generally speaking, tomorrow is the final of 3 cut down periods across the NFL. So Matt, I don't know who your favorite team is. Drop it in the comments. Say hey. But whoever your favorite team is, tomorrow will be the day where the general manager and the coaches will have whittled it down to the 53-man official roster of starters. And then from there will be a 16-man practice squad. And right now most teams are working with around 80. I checked today and we have 78 right now. 78. Not 80.
I know that's because Mason Crosby is technically on PUP still, even though he's not listed as that on the team's website, which is weird. And of course, we just let go of Ty Summers yesterday. That is Sunday. So that was one less there.
I think Mason is on there and Ty is off, so I don't think it's that. I haven't quite investigated where the numbers came, but there's
no.
2 on injured reserve. I think that's what it is.
That could be, yeah.
We have 2 on, and I have those written down too. So, yeah. So, okay. So we're gonna, I'm gonna put my glasses on. Just I don't know why. Probably
To look studious. It's worth mentioning too that like at what is it, 5 o'clock Central tomorrow when the cutdowns have to be official, whatever the time is, it's in the afternoon.
okay.
Whatever it is at that moment at what let's say it's 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, that's not exactly what it's going to be on game 1 because they have to like have a snapshot at that point and they can only have 53 like men on the roster, at any given second past that point. But remember last year, I think it was that they cut J.K. Scott like maybe right after like the 53 was announced, and then like cut him right away, and then like picked up Bojorquez,
Bojo.
Yeah, Bojo Blast. And so it was one of those funny things where it was like nobody could have possibly guessed that was going to happen. So it kind of like threw everyone's 53-man roster prediction off.
Right.
But like, so there can be little changes that'll happen, especially like, let's say somebody releases a player that we could really, really, really use, maybe like for good safety depth. There's also a special teamer. There was somebody that Andy Herman kind of like retweeted about earlier today that would be a really good candidate for that. So like there might be somebody out there who we found out about who gets cut by another team who we want to pick up, and then we have to let go of somebody else, and that can cause like a little bit of a ripple effect.
Yeah,
the team wants to pick them up, and there can be some shuffling. Yeah, exactly. So,
cool.
like whatever it is at let's say 5 o'clock tomorrow, that's not necessarily what it's going to be week 1. And also, there a lot of people in their predictions were saying like we'll keep Levitt on the 53, then after 24 hours put him on IR and pick up like maybe Abernathy. That was actually a fairly common theme. At this point, I think because Levitt was looking pretty good in practice yesterday, like I think they're going to keep him, but I'm getting ahead of myself in saying that. So let's say I think that ploy of like keep him. IR him, pick somebody else like that. I think that might not happen now. It seemed kind of plausible for a minute there, but I don't think
so. And so all the teams also are kind of wanting, and it might not, like you mentioned, it may not be your actual 53-man team roster, but it's going to be close because we're only 10 days out from Thursday night football kickoff for the new season. So, and September 11th. So what's that? 13 days countdown, 13 days till everyone else plays. But some of the strategy isn't necessarily who do we want on our team, but who do we not want other teams to get from us. So that's why there's some more shuffling with that too, which makes my bingo game kind of like a lot of work.
It's fluid for a couple of days there.
Yeah. So last year I was constantly changing it. This year I'm smart and I didn't change it. I just did the first 90-man, and then I'm going to do the 53, and then like probably a week into the first game, and when things kind of work their way out, maybe after the first home game, even then I'll do another update on the bingo. So
yeah, and that point you make there, Don, like it will be very, very close to what it is week 1. As of tomorrow, like might be little changes, but like it's majority there. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So excited. Okay, Maddie. So you want to share this? Yeah. Do you know how to share a screen?
I'm seeing share screen, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. I'm going to choose the 53-man roster prediction. I'm going to allow it. And all right, are you seeing this now, Dawn?
I am seeing it not on the screen. I'm seeing it down. Let me add it in.
Oh, I think you can. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Ooh, that's nice.
I don't normally have to do that. Oh, I love it. Look at that beautiful spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. Okay.
So I'm going to maybe just embiggen this just a little bit here. So it's easier to see. And how is that? Is that good?
Looks excellent. Yeah.
All right. Here we go, folks. So some thoughts as we go through here. First of all, every number in green here means everybody said yes to that. So obviously, everyone's saying Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So anything green, you can kind of consider like a lead pipe lock at least as far as anybody knows. And as far as anybody, who are my anybody's here? Well, let's just run down quickly who these 28 are. So you got me. You got Matt Schneidman from The Athletic, Bill Huber from SI.com. You have Andy Herman from Everything He Does, Sam Holman, who writes for Wisconsin Sports Heroics and is an awesome human being. And
Oh,
actually,
Sammy.
spoiler, had the spiciest of all 53-man roster predictions. We got Paul Brettel for Daily Express, and he just started working for somebody else too, and I forget who it was, but somebody awesome, whatever it was. We have JB Hirschhorn, who with Peter Bukowski does The Leap. What's it called? It's like a Substack or something. It might be a newsletter, whatever it is.
Yeah,
We have Zach Jacobson, who writes for all kinds of stuff. He's writing for Pack Report, I think. He's a Pack-A-Day guy. We have Zach Cruz, who writes for USA Today. I think it's Packers Wire. We have Ken Ingalls, the salary cap guru.
Love that man.
We have my man Eric Rose, who was extremely helpful in this process, especially last year.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much, Eric. Yeah, we have Jersey Al, who of course is a Cheesehead TV guy. Brian Maffey, who's like one of those great guys in the Packer Twitter, Osphere, and he writes for, I want to say it's ABT Sports, I think is the name of it. We have Greg Meinholtz, who I forget who he's working with now, but he does have it published somewhere. Sorry about that. Big B, who is awesome. We have Justice Mosqueda with Acme Packing Company, St. Vertex Western. Theirs was actually a joint article, so you can check them out both there. Ryan Schlip from Pack-A-Day Podcast and the entire network. We have Del Rey. This is a dude who has the Lombardi Time Brews, I think is the name of his new podcast. I might have the name slightly wrong. We got A. Elpeth. This is a guy on the Packernet podcast Facebook group. I don't know him as well. Andrew Peth, I think is his name.
Oh, okay.
John Meerdink, friend of the show, John Meerdink with thepowersweep.com. We have Love and Dubs, who is a dude on Packers Twitter. Dan Kotnick, who writes for Gammon, Wisconsin, and of course is part of Lombardi's Bar. I like Dan's list. There's something in here that I love that I'll get to. Andrew Mertig with Pack-A-Day. We have Chris Burke, who writes for, I should know, but I don't. Sorry, Chris. I like yours, though. It's a good one. Katie Sunderman, my good friend and one-time co-host of the show.
Yes.
And then last but not least, Maggie Loney. And two women at the end. I should have had them in there somewhere else. So sorry, that's vaguely sexist. Sorry for the microaggression. So anyhow, here we go. Here's what we got for the...
Did Perry do one or just Maggie?
I didn't see one, but it came to a point today where I was like, I was just out of time.
You had it. Yeah, you ran it. I watched Andy's last Pack-A-Day podcast on YouTube, which is a different, and he had Perry on it, so it's kind of taking some notes. Yeah.
Anyhow, so Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, they're totally it. But Danny Etling did get one vote, and I mentioned that like Dan Kotnick. So what Dan Kotnick did with his, he had said yes, but he didn't say that he would see Danny Etling as a quarterback, but rather as a tight end, which I thought was very funny. And it's just like, if you get this right, man, high five. That would be amazing. I would love to see that, actually. So that's where he's coming with on that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Then moving on to the running backs, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, obvious locks. Now, a lot of people, are kind of split then on the Patrick Taylor versus Tyler Goodson situation. Obviously they both have things to offer. Patrick Taylor has better, I think, special teams performance, really good with blocking and stuff like that, versus Tyler Goodson, who we saw to be very explosive, could be a really great weapon. A few more people came down to the Patrick Taylor, and I think that's not necessarily more people like Patrick Taylor. I mean, I will say I like him, definitely. And in fact, full disclosure on mine, let me see here. I did have a yes for Patrick Taylor and not one for Tyler Goodson.
Okay.
So the thing, though, is if you're listening to like the way how Matt LaFleur has been talking about Patrick Taylor and about like what the RB3 role is, about being special teams and blocking, like it just seems like, it sounds like they're leaning towards Patrick Taylor from the way he talks about it. But we're just guessing here. Ultimately, if anybody gets all these right, I'll be kind of surprised because there's always like weird little wrinkles that you don't see coming. But
sure.
So I'd say a pretty almost even split between Patrick Taylor and Tyler Goodson. But you see that doesn't quite add up to the 28, which is because there are a number of people who kind of got this theory going with it, just two running backs. And then for a third running back, we'll get Kylan Hill back from PUP eventually.
Right.
But until then, doing like game day elevations for one or the other of them, or using Amari Rodgers kind of like as a running back out of the backfield. Like they did kind of use him that way in the preseason. So I see the argument. I don't necessarily buy it, but I can see where they're coming from on that.
Right.
All right. Any thoughts before we move on to the wide receivers, Don?
Who did you? So you picked Taylor?
Yeah. So I have mine kind of still on. I'm going to keep mine on the screen here so you can kind of see like what I did here. So yeah, I did say, of course.
Oh, okay, over there. Okay.
I got Patrick Taylor in there.
I think Perry and and D both were pro Goodson. Now, either one of them would end up then on the practice squad, right? And they're not going to cut either one of those, right?
Yeah, I think they would both end up with the practice squad if they didn't make the 53. I think between
They're
the two
both,
of them,
yeah.
I think they'll both be on the team or on the practice squad. Put it that way.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
For Andy's last published one, in written form, he did have the 2 running back theory for that. So he might have changed it at the last minute when he was talking to Perry or whatever. But that is where he.
Well, they may not have been doing a prediction as much as who they wanted to see.
That could be. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
All right. So, anything else before we go on to the wide receivers, Dawn?
Let's do the wide receivers because the wide receivers are interesting.
Indeed. So, this is really straightforward at first. In fact, I'd even say, except for all but one person said also yes, Amari Rodgers. So you got Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and pretty much Amari Rodgers across the board. People are saying, yeah, these are your guys for sure. Not everyone thought that Juwann Winfrey, though it was necessarily a lock, but you can see 22 out of 28 is pretty solid. Samori Toure had 8 people, kind of going from him, and very few people said Winfrey and Toure. Very few people were saying, let's carry, 8 wide receivers. Now, who didn't like Amari Rodgers? Let's just take a quick peek here. Let's see, because, maybe if this person is right, then that's going to be really kind of,
right.
the cap for that. That was Levin Dubs on Twitter said, no, I don't think we're going to have Amari Rodgers on there. I'd be surprised. I mean, the argument I've heard that I definitely buy into is that he was a 3rd-round pick last year. That's just too high, a draft pedigree, draft capital, and too recent. This is just last year.
Right.
To, just cut him to the wolves. And I feel like most of the people that are not going to make the 53, aren't necessarily going to get snatched up by some of the team. But if we cut Amari Rodgers, I think he would. I agree. He would jump at that.
Especially this year.
Yeah,
because he looked really good. What I did was just as a starting framework, I just penciled in all the rookie, everybody we drafted, because who's going to? I mean, yeah, they're not going to give up a new draft pick.
I agree with that all the way through the 6th round. I think the 7th round guys, that's where it gets a little dicey because you're putting a lot of guys, because there's a lot of people that got in the 7th round, first of all, and putting some of them ahead of people who are more experienced, more talented. It's I don't know about that, but I think through the first 6 rounds.
Well, just for the first, penciled in kind of sketch.
Yeah, it's like a starting spot. Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that.
I was very proud of myself for thinking of that.
I like it.
Okay, good.
Right. Going on to the tight ends. So definitely have Tunyon, Lewis, and DeGuara as the lead pipe locks here. Everyone's saying, yeah, of course, these guys. Yeah. Now, Tyler Davis was a contentious one because we all saw that he wasn't looking great in, preseason, but still the coaches were talking him up. And there was that one last practice, I think just after the last preseason game, where I guess Tyler Davis just killed. So he has the potential and he shows flashes and with the sort of confidence that, the coaching staff talks about him, I think they're going to keep him around. I really do. And I think that he probably has something. He just did not show it, unfortunately, in the preseason games. But, I think a thing to remember here is that we only see a little bit of the data, if you will, that the coaches and the Brian Gutekunst is taking into account here, because there's also all the time in practice. There's what they're like in the locker room. There's other intangibles that we don't have any sense of. It's very complicated. We just see how do they do in these games, and also we from avidly following the wonderful tweeting from practices, we get a sense of it from there. But even then, it's secondhand information anyhow. So when we say Tyler Davis sucked in the games because he did, that doesn't necessarily paint a complete picture, and I don't think it necessarily signals that he's going to be cut, especially given the way they've talked about him. So you can see for me, of course, I do have Tyler Davis in. For sure. And I didn't mention up here, but I do have Juwann Winfrey and not Samori Toure up here. I think if they got rid of Winfrey, that we don't need another situation where Aaron Rodgers feels slighted, because he has shouted out Winfrey more than once in the preseason.
Right. So, I've heard that argument too.
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of him. I think they hopefully learned their lesson on that. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I think the question was asked in one of the recent press conferences in the last week, do they run these personal decisions past Aaron? And the answer was yes, but it wasn't as straightforward as that. It was oh yeah, we take into consideration, blah, blah, blah. It was kind of coach speaky, but it was oh no, they're talking to him while he's getting his input. So, so I think they're going to keep, Juwann Winfrey. And all right, so then moving on to the O-line here, Don. So Josh Myers and Jake Hansen at center, definitely yes. Nobody voted. I shouldn't say voted, but nobody had any, had Michael Minute in their projections. I understand why. It's kind of a bummer to see a 0 on the board like that, but that's what it is. But then going to our guys, it gets kind of like jumbled, who's a guard, who's a tackle, who's a what, because there's so much cross-training that happens, but this is kind of roughly the guards and tackles here. So anyhow, Elton Jenkins, John Runyon, Zach Tom, Royce Newman, and Sean Ryan were across the board 28s for that, and so is David Bakhtiari, of course, especially with Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari off of pup. It's like, yeah, no, they're in. They're obviously on the roster. We're not going to do any messing around with this. And even with Elton Jenkins, not really practicing yesterday, like he did practice today.
I know.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I guess it had nothing to do with the brace on his shoulder, nothing to do with his contract. Just what was it? I don't know, but he was practicing today. So
Matt LaFleur said he was just a little dinged up. It wasn't any, but
it was also the way he talked about it. Said we're just going to keep it in house. Look at the reason is. It was like
right.
That makes you think something else is going on. Just the way he phrased it, but
yeah,
I don't know. He's out there today. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
So then Josh Nijman, who of course regular listeners know, one of my favorite players, he ended up with a 27. So here's where we bring in the spicy takes that Sam Holman had. So one of the most fascinating things from any of these projections was where Sam said he thinks what's going to happen is that we're going to trade Josh Nijman because we have so much O-line depth. It really is an embarrassment of riches how good our O-line depth is. That we don't really need him. I think we do. I'm not agreeing with you, Sam. But he's saying we don't really need him. We could trade him for a pick or something like that. So that's part of his. But if not for that, it would also be a 28 for Yash.
Okay, so that was Sam
Holman, with a spicy take.
Another
Sam. Moves on to our Rasheed Walker.
And don't be slandering our Yash Nijman on this show. One of our favorite players. Okay, that's interesting.
My goodness. I know, right?
Love Sam too, yeah.
So we have Rasheed Walker and Caleb Jones kind of on the bottom here. A fair amount of confidence in 11 votes for Rasheed Walker. I could see it happening, but I just feel like some of the other positions are just tight enough. Whereas we have that really good O-line depth that I feel like taking Rasheed Walker feels like a luxury pick to me. I wouldn't, because we just need we need more safety depth. Is a good example of that. Our safeties are really thin right now. We have two really, really good safeties at the top, then it just kind of talent level just falls away from there. So we need safeties as a depth piece, which is why for me it's I don't think Rasheed Walker is going to make it. I think he'll get on the practice squad, no problem. I don't think he's going to get snatched up by anybody else, but I don't see him making the 53 personally. That's the offense. Don, anything before we go to the defense?
Nope. I'm just actually resorting my list here because something happened to it. So I'm listening.
Gotcha.
I'm like, what happened?
Listening and listening. All right. So for the D-line, the very clear favorites are going to be Kenny Clark, Jaron Reed, Dean Lowry, TJ Slaton, and Devontae Wyatt. I think that, Devontae Wyatt kind of initially looked like he didn't do a lot in preseason, but when you start to look at it really closely with the help of people like Sam Holman, who put together a really great thread of Devontae Wyatt's snaps in the preseason, I think he did all of them. Was it just from the last game against the 49ers? I forget what it was exactly, but it was a bunch of here's what he's doing here. Here's what he's doing here. Here's what he's doing here. Just breaking it down in great detail like Sam does. Very fascinating. It made me Devontae Wyatt's really good, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know any of this stuff. It's such micro, granular kind of stuff that he's picking up on. That Sam's
right.
It's okay, no, he belongs. But then past that, we get into this Jack Heflin, Chris Slayton, and Jonathan Ford. Now, no one is saying anything for Akil Byers. Sorry, Akil Byers. I hope you get some success somewhere, maybe with our practice squad. But these guys, I really do think that they're going to keep Jack Heflin. I think he's really showed out, especially in that last preseason game. I think he's really got something. And, to have that kind of depth here, I think would be really awesome. So, I'm good with that. Now, I think Chris Slayton is going to be good in a year. I think Chris Slayton, if we can keep him on the practice squad, I think he really could be something. But if I say 12 people on Jack Heflin, kind of a divisive one, it's, just short of the 14 for halfway for that. So that's how that shook out. Now, for the
well, and you know what? Hold on. If you go back to that was the defensive line. Here's an interesting thing.
Mhm.
So between Heflin, Slayton, and Ford, there's only 17, 19 out of 28 people. So that means a good almost half, well, maybe 2/3, 1/3, I should say the opposite of that, just think that that we're not going to add anyone there, or that we don't need to add.
Yeah, that we
Yeah.
can just run with the 5 there. Which I
Yeah.
mean, that's 5 really talented players, but
Right.
just a little bit of depth. I think Jack Heflin is very good and adds, just I think just enough depth. But yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and it's a rough position. It's a rough and I mean, not that any of the
Yeah,
positions are, but that one,
very violent position. Constantly smashing your body into people. Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty nuts.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, going on then. Looking at the edge rushers, the outside linebackers. So Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith easily with the 28 now. JJ Enegbara.
And McBart with a
Enegbara.
little at the end.
Definitely the accents on the second syllable. I remember Enegbara. So anyhow, Kingsley goes by JJ. So he had 27. So like, okay, well, so somebody had said no. Well, who was it?
Who said, was it you?
It was not me. I'm all for that guy. I think he's great. Plus, he's a pretty highly. Oh, it was Katie. Oh no, Katie, our friend Katie. She said, I don't think so. I don't think so for JJ. That's all right. She might be right. Who knows? She'd be the one person who got it right.
Those
Could happen.
outliers, right?
Yeah,
that's
how you kind of set yourself apart. Some different take like that. So
that's right.
But Jonathan Garvin was also very high with 24. Most people are saying yes to him as well. Now, when it gets down past those first 4, and I think those are 4 really, really solid players, then it gets into like, how much do we need the depth here? How much are these going to be special teams guys? Like, I do think at least one, and I do like Tipa here. I kind of went back and forth between Tipa and Kobe Jones, honestly. Ladarius Hamilton really showed out really nicely in the preseason as well. But in the end, I went with Tipa for the depth and for the special teams, because he's been in the system already for a little while. So I feel like I kind of favoring him a little bit here.
I hope that Kobe at least gets on the. I mean, Kobe is one of the was a walk-on tryout.
Yeah, he seems really good too.
Yeah.
So I'd love to keep him in the practice squad for sure. Develop him some more. He could. I think he could release something. I mean, Ladarius Hamilton had some great stuff in the preseason too. Like, I think they both have a lot of potential. Let's say. So that's how that one kind of came down. All right, takes us to the inside linebackers, the Steve Perhatch position. So here we go. We got Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, and Chris Barnes across the board, and almost Isaiah McDuffie with the unanimous votes here. So let's see what happens. Somebody didn't vote for Isaiah McDuffie. Somebody did vote for Ray Wilborn, and of course Ty Summers was cut. So let's see what we got here. Somebody said no to Isaiah McDuffie, and it was
it Katie?
I don't think it was. I think she had the one. Chris Burke said no, Isaiah McDuffie. I'm sorry, sir. And the Ray Wilborn enthusiast in the crowd here, it's the Andy Herman Award, because he was last year the Ray Wilborn supporter. It was Paul Brettel. Now look, Paul Brettel's very smart. And if this ends up being, if he gets this right and everyone else got it wrong, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
Right.
Because, one of the phrases Paul has become known for saying is reading the tea leaves. He puts a lot of, he tries to do his best to kind of really analyze what's being said, what they're seeing, in terms of snap counts, all kinds of stuff. And not that everybody else doesn't. Obviously, a lot of people are really thinking hard about this, but Paul's got a knack for that. He really does for reading the tea leaves. So, Ray Wilborn, I don't think he has much of a chance, but if he gets on, I won't be surprised because Paul said so.
Yeah. I like it. I don't have any thoughts on that position at all.
All right, then. We'll go on to the corners. We got, of course, Jai Alexander, Eric Stokes, and Russell Douglas. Those are easy 3, definitely. And then a lot of faith out there for Shamar John Charles, which I'm glad to see. I think he really flashed in the preseason, especially, and jumped a lot from last year. So really glad that people are seeing that. Now, after this is the cornerback depth and the safety depth. Both of these, I think, are really fascinating. Situations, I guess, because Keyshawn Nixon went pretty high here. He got 23 out of 28 votes.
He sure did, yeah.
I suggest him because that was a Bisaccia guy. Let's bring in my guy.
Oh,
Keyshawn
Nixon. Right.
He may get Bisaccia onto the roster. So, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's got that going for him. And he seemed pretty good, overall. And it seems like a special teams ace. That's the idea. He's supposed to be a special teams ace. But then we have like these other guys. You got Keandre Thomas, Rico Gafford, and Kevin Ento. Now, Rico Gafford was listed as like I want to say the kick returner, or I think it was a kick returner, and he was not great at it. So I see if they keep him on there, like with the idea of like developing him in that kick and or punt return, role. I don't think he's gonna make it though. I don't.
I know, but yeah, he's not consistent yet. He'll be on the practice squad though, I think, and Kabian for sure. I like
Kabian. I mean, I like that guy. You can see only one person had him in their thing, but yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Sorry.
No, keep going. I'm just going to check on my cat. I'm right here.
I'll keep going. So Kevin Ento did have that one person who had him in theirs, and I want to see those. That was Chris Burke. So Chris Burke with another interesting take that was opposed to the rest of the entire crowd. So love it, Chris Burke. I love that you're staking your claim there.
Yeah. Independence. Well, of course, he doesn't know that yet. He'll be like, "Oh, I'm the only one."
Surprise, Chris!
Surprise, Chris!
Hope you're watching or listening.
Well, we'll have to shout out the Lone Rangers that we have.
I like it. So safety, I think, is one of the. I think it's the most interesting position battle. I think it is the most interesting for me because, you've got like Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage are two of the it might be the best safety tandem, at least probably top 5 safety tandem in the entire NFL. But after that, it just dusts away because we have Sean Davis got a good amount of votes, like 25. I mean, she's like a good amount, like a really almost everybody said Sean Davis, yes. I didn't quite know to go with that, so I had to I'd actually go look into it and do a little research myself before I said, okay, no, actually yes. But then after that, Dallin Levitt, a lot of people were saying that he was going to be, put on IR, and this kind of shell game situation with him. And I could see that happening, but he was practicing yesterday. I think he's just going to make the roster straight up. I really like Micah Abernathy.
I do too.
I mean, he wasn't against first string, offenses and whatever else, but I just keep going back to that interception he had where he was like falling over the wide receiver. I think it was wide receiver probably, or maybe a tight end. Catching the pass. Just the visual of that was like, whoa, this guy's got some tools. Like, holy cow!
Yeah, that was impressive.
It really
memorable too. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people did say yes for Tariq Carpenter. I don't know. That was one that when I got down to there's 3 people. I was like, I have one spot. I have 3 or 4 people. And I had a hard time with it. Tariq Carpenter was really, really on the bubble for me. I mean, I could see a lot of good arguments for having him in there, especially I was already talking about safety depth as an issue. So that's one that's just I could probably talk to.
Is Tariq a rookie? You don't have if they're rookies on your spreadsheet, do you?
Let's see here.
What year they are?
Experience, yeah. He's a rookie.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most of this is just stuff like. So one thing about Excel that I love, one of the many things, is you can actually download data from a website, and so this is just downloaded from their roster and just kind of sliced and diced and chopped up and stuff like that.
That's what I do. Yeah,
but yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
I know.
So so the Tariq Carpenter, I think he's strong. I think he could make it. He's not one of my 53, but I wouldn't be surprised if he were, put it that way. But then we have Innis Gaines. He definitely needs to be in the practice squad at least. I'd be surprised if he made the roster. 2 people said he would, though. So who was it? Who said yes to Innis Gaines? I think Katie was one of them, actually. We have JB Hirschhorn. He said yes, and I'm just going to faster. Sure at the end. It was Katie. Yes, our pal Katie also said yes. Again, could happen. He's been in the system. He already has 1 year of experience under his belt. We'll see. But Devontae Cross, a guy who I couldn't pick out of a crowd. Honestly, sorry, Devontae. You're better at football than I am.
Me too.
But no votes, no confidence for Devontae Cross on this. And that is the defense. So any thoughts on the defense before we wrap it up with the special teams stuff?
No, not at all. The 2 on I just wanted to add in because my brain is very limited today. The 2 on injured reserve is Gabe Burke. What's his name? Berkey.
Oh, Burkich was cut.
Burkich. Was he cut?
He was cut.
He was okay. He's not on injured reserve. Okay,
Right.
so I was looking at something old then. And then I thought he was. And then Malik Taylor is he still?
So those are both like injury settlements. So you might just be reading it wrong or something. Like those were ones who like we cut, but like gave them an injury settlement, kind of like it's one of the options you have for players.
Okay, but they're not on like waivers.
They're just like not on our team. Just
right, right. So, and that's the same with Malik Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that one came from the NFL, which is supposed to have a running total of the cuts, but I don't think it's actually up to date at all. So
perhaps not.
Yeah. I was kind of just cross-referencing. Yeah.
So, Matt LaFleur's asked today, Monday, if any other players going to be cut, like today or like, kind of early tomorrow. And he basically indicated like, no, we're going to wait till after practice on Tuesday before we start announcing any cuts.
Right.
So I mentioned this because Zach Jacobson does have a cuts tracker that I have bookmarked currently, like one of my.
Oh, okay. We should put that in the notes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's worth finding because that'll come in really handy tomorrow as I start, coming in.
Right.
I mean, I will be, as always, watching my notifications from Andy Herman, Matt Schneidman, and Bill Huber to kind of see what's coming across there. I'm sure they'll all pick those up, as they come across. I'm sure at least one of them will catch every single one. But still, to have that tracker to refer to, I think will come in really nice.
And is that for the Packers or for all the teams?
Oh, just for the Packers.
No. Oh, okay. I want to watch all the teams. I mean, not in great detail, but
there'll be some interesting stuff out there. There always is. There's always some interesting stories.
Right, because we might want to pick some people up too tomorrow. Exactly. So yeah.
All right. Be fun. So the special teams. Now there's one wrinkle in here. Okay. Now here's the thing. Ramiz Ahmed or Ahmed, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Probably Ramiz Ahmed. I gotta find out. As somebody who cares about people's names being pronounced correctly, I'm going with Ramiz Ahmed at this point, but I don't feel confident about it.
Like really. Let me look at his name again. Ramiz Ahmed. No, that's.
I think so.
That seems right.
Anyhow, he is on mine because Mason.
You're number one.
Mason Crosby is still on PUP right now, and even today, LaFleur was asked. I think it was today. LaFleur was asked, like, "Hey, are you going to bring Mason Crosby off PUP or what?" I think it was the second question today. He was like, "We'll see."
Yeah.
Typical Matt LaFleur, like, I don't know.
No.
For the future, things could change tomorrow. Like he's very, pragmatic like that.
In the moment, right?
Yeah, he's like, I understand. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So like, if we start, if 5 o'clock tomorrow, whatever the time is, tomorrow, if he's not officially on the roster because he's on PUP, then I got it right, and nobody else did.
Yay!
Yeah, I was the only person saying that because I mean, it's like I don't think they're going to just bring him off of PUP like suddenly. I think, just like let's play it safe. Maybe things like take a weird turn for him. Once he's ready to come off, they'll probably just, say, Ramiz, thanks, man. You want to be in the practice squad? We can keep you around as a backup. That'd be great. It'd be something that'll happen like they did with JJ Molson forever.
What about putting Mason on the practice squad?
Then somebody would get him.
They can get him off the practice.
He would never clear waivers.
They can get him off the practice then. Okay, that was.
I mean, I don't know the rules. I know you can like save a certain number of people from your practice squad. Like, so like these are off limits. There's a certain number every week.
Because he's got a contract, right? I mean, he can't. Anyway, I was just wondering if that was a strategic thing they could possibly do.
I don't think they do that. That seems a little too risky. Because even just putting them on the practice squad, they have to start by cutting him first and then signing him in. There's that waiver claim.
Oh, that's right.
And I mean, somebody's gonna pick him up if that happens.
Yeah, that would be a cut down. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is how this shook out. As we see the cuts coming in as things kind of start to get official. Seeing where it's going to be at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I am very interested to see who got it right. I haven't done enough in-depth probing with this to see like how many people, if any people have the exact same ones. I wouldn't be surprised. Probably at least one or two of these might be exactly the same as mine, except for the special team. So even then, there's going to be something, right? So you just never know. But I will find a way to post a link to this file. I'll tweet it and also probably retweet it through our show's account so you can find it out there. If anybody wants the actual source file, so they can actually just take it and play around with it, instead of just seeing a viewable version of it. Feel free to hit me up in the DMs, give me your email address. I can send you a copy by email.
Yeah, I want a copy right away.
I will email it to you, Don. Absolutely.
I want my copy now. Okay, cool. Okay, so do you have any rookies being cut that you think are not going to be on the practice squad when it all shakes out? Because I can't do a sort.
So as far as the rookies go, let's just take a look at the rookies.
Hold on, I got to check on her one more time. She's out on the balcony. It's getting dark. What are you doing?
So as far as rookies go, I will vamp for a second since Dawn asked me the question. I think she wants to know the
I'm right here.
the answer.
I'm right here.
There we go.
I wanted to make sure she was okay. She's not usually out on the balcony when it's dark without me.
So these are just the rookies.
My
so
little murderer.
I don't think Goodson. I think Goodson's going to make the 53, but I do think they would definitely pick him up for the practice squad. Mortuary, I think they'd also pick him up for the practice squad for sure. I don't think he's going to get claimed. I mean, people are worried about actually both these guys get. I think every team has their own like people like this that are kind of like promising but bottom of the list kind of guys that they want to keep. Like, I don't think we're going to lose these guys. Rashid Walker, I think definitely practice squad. Caleb Jones, I don't necessarily have any faith that they would pick him up for the practice squad. Could happen, but I don't know. Jonathan Ford and Akil Byers. Jonathan Ford is an interesting guy because he is a specimen. So they might actually pick him up for the practice squad. I would bet they would actually. And then that takes us down to Tariq Carpenter. I think definitely makes a practice squad. And Devontae Cross, I don't think so. But that said, I didn't assemble my 16-person practice squad. So if I were to do that, maybe one of these guys actually does make it, just based on my own projection. Didn't get around to doing that. I might yet tomorrow if I have some time. And as it is in my profession, academic advising at the college level.
Where did you have?
It's a slow week for me coming up. So I'm trying to say it's the first slow week.
Good. Yeah, good for you. Yay! Congratulations.
Finally, it's been months.
Yeah, you're exhausted. Where did people come down on Caleb Jones? That's like a no-brainer, right?
Caleb Jones, he had 4 votes. 4 people said yes to Caleb Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also a specimen, but very raw.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's 370 pounds.
I know that. I'm just interested in that. Can you imagine?
Big. Yeah. What was the other one we said here? It was
Byers, Wyatt, Ford, and Inigbari, Quay Walker. Jack. These are all the rookies. Jack Coco, Zach Tom. Where did Zach Tom come up?
Zach Tom was very, very highly voted in. Zach Tom was 28. Yeah, he was. Okay,
he's okay. Goodson, Devontae Cross. Where did he come? Oh, he's a safety. Okay, Tariq, Caleb Jones, Rashid Walker. Where did Rashid come up?
Here, put it back to the rookies here. Take a look at that again. New rookies. All right, so Rashid Walker, he had some votes.
11.
Oh, you see him? There you go.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Also a very large guy.
Sean Ryan. I know you love Sean Ryan.
He got 28. I mean,
okay, he's a shoe-in. Okay, Christian Watson. Christian Watson is injured. Romeo and okay. All right. I'm satisfied. I like to keep my eye. I'm keeping my eye on those rooks.
Nice. I like it. All right, Dawn. So there it is.
I love it. Well done. I mean, that was so fun. Anytime you want to go live and look at a spreadsheet with me, I'm such a dork.
If anybody's watching or listening to this point, then maybe you love spreadsheets too, and you're my people.
Do you love spreadsheets? I know. I put that in our little thumbnail, #spreadsheet. Keeping out on the spreadsheet. Anyway, well, cool, Maddie. Well, I can't wait to see how this all turns out on Thursday for our regular episode and our final episode of our very first season.
Yes. Last episode of the season coming up on Thursday. You can watch it live. You can listen to the recording Saturday. And the recording for this will be available tomorrow, right, Dawn? We're going to put that up right away.
I think so.
Yeah. Let's do that. So people can listen to it in the morning, before the cuts start.
Yeah, I should have it up tonight, actually, sometime tonight. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
And quick thanks to you too, actually, Dawn, because I had just kind of called an audible this afternoon, hey, we should just go live and do this. And you're like, yeah, I can make it work, whatever. So I appreciate you for being able to accommodate that.
I had a couple appointments this afternoon. Took a shower. My hair's a little wet because I was running around. But yeah, no, honestly, I'm kind of glad you did it because when we were chatting on our live stream on Thursday, I was still a little unsettled in my mind how this was going to work out because the cut downs were Tuesday and our podcast wasn't until Thursday. And I knew you were doing the spreadsheet. And I was like, how is this going to work?
Yeah. It'd be kind of a little stale by Thursday.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely the way to go. And a bonus episode to almost finish out our first season, our first year together of every single week with
Yes.
three substitute
Three
guest
substitute fill-in
show host.
hosts. That's right.
Yes, Katie being one of them, who needs to be our guest one of these days. Katie, if
Mhm.
you're listening, we want you as a guest on our show as soon. We're
I
so glad
told
you're
her.
back
I know.
on
I know.
Twitter. Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, great. So, with that, let's wrap her up, Maddie.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the script in front of me, so I'll just say that
It's all right. I'm
first of
looking.
all, if you're watching or listening, thank you. We appreciate it. We
Thank
appreciate you coming in to, be part of the show and helping us to spread the love. And I appreciate all the people who shared their roster predictions with me. And, that just, I think, fosters even a better sense of community. Sharing information, talking about it, having those friendly sort of debates about it, I think is a wonderful thing. So,
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for helping us to spread the love.
That's right, Maddie, and for helping us have a fun time while we're all anxiously waiting for that first game of the season to start, regardless of who we're rooting for. I can't wait for all the games to start. So, yes, so we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to happen to be fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support and your subscriptions, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. And we appreciate you sharing our pod. So we'll see you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.